Hey, how's it
How
going?
are you?
Good. Got some more fun comics to talk about this week.
First, let's say hi to Ayla. Hi, Ayla and Kidder. And I
Hello.
apologize if I mispronounced that, Ayla. If I did, let us know so I don't do that in the future. But yeah, some great comics. Um, you should update the countdown for the Marvel streams to include the number 29 since it's not shown.
Oh.
Oh, well, let's run that again and see what that's about. She's right. Yeah, I think we're gonna start doing a refresh on some of our intros, since this is 44 issues, or was it 34 issues? What are we
This
at?
is
43. So we're
43.
almost a year into this,
Yeah. We're coming up on 50 too. That's a big one.
and you've never missed a week.
No.
I have plenty, but we're going. Well, where should we get started?
Well, we interestingly, despite the event wrapping up last week, we had two more King in Black tie-in issues. So I guess let's start there. So how about Namor, number 5?
There he is. Nipples all front and center.
So talking about King in Black over the past, almost 3 months, and all the tie-in issues that we did, I think we kind of agreed that this was maybe our least favorite tie-in series of all of them. I did enjoy this issue, but it was just so weird to get this after King in Black had wrapped up last week.
Yeah, I feel like this series grew on me as I got into it, and especially because it started before we knew what this was really about, and then it kind of ended after. So the timing was just weird, and I ended up liking it. It's just a little bit like, as I said one week, it's like going to like your local Six Flags after spending a week at Disneyland. Like it's just not as much fun. And I'm excited for where it takes the character moving forward. We don't know where that's going to happen, but they did lay sort of groundwork for a future. But we'll see.
Yeah, I was surprised by that because, this being a King in Black tie-in issue, I thought it was just going to lead up to the big fight in King in Black. And really, we didn't see anything from – we saw there were maybe 2 pages, but like barely impacting the overall King in Black story. And instead, this led to a future Namor story that I'm like you said, we don't know when or where we're going to see it. But I was surprised at how interested it got me in the future of this story because I did not expect it to go in that direction.
Yeah, it's like what they had a story they wanted to tell because it didn't have to be null, right? A corrupting force in comics is not, foreign. It didn't even really necessarily have the hallmarks of a lot of things that we got. So it kind of felt like they had this Namor story they wanted to tell, and then they kind of made it a King of Black tie-in to kind of raise the financial prospects of the book. But it didn't need to be. It wasn't ingrained in the DNA of the story.
Right.
I think once you realize that, you appreciate the book much more because it's not a typical tie-in where it's like, meanwhile, these characters are doing this over there. It didn't even take place in the same time frame for the most part. Not a lot of crossover. So, but that's my thoughts on it. And so I kind of look forward to it being hopefully unhinged from King in Black, and they can just sort of tell the story.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think where I was a little bit disappointed was, and just to kind of summarize this whole arc real quick, it was all about Namor having to unleash this dark force, these 5 corrupted soldiers from his past to fight Null and help save Earth from this unbeatable alien force. And when they finally do, we don't really get to see them in action all that much, and I was hoping to see more of it. Now we know it's going to lead to something else, and I am excited to see, when we do finally see them in action, hopefully.
Our next King in Black tie-in is the Fantastic Four. This one tie-in's even weird too because it kind of takes place before and after the events of King of Black 5. So it doesn't feel like it necessarily is a timing issue,
Right.
as much as just a storytelling choice. And once again, this is more about the characters than it is about their role in finding Noel, so that's okay. But I really like this Fantastic Four run. We've read a couple titles from it, just because I really think they're playing up the family angle, which is what I think makes Fantastic Four the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four can get, because of Reed Richards and Dimensions and stuff, it can get a little out there,
right?
Council of Reeds and stuff. And it's nice when they're just sort of a family sitting around a dinner table.
Yeah, and I think it gets better with the introduction of Joe and Nikki, the Kree and Skrull children that they've adopted. I think that adds another layer to this family, and they're a lot of fun. They were fun in this particular issue as well.
I mean, for them, it's what I like about it is you have, we've had Franklin and Sue, Reed and Sue have had Franklin and Valeria forever, right? But now you get to see Ben Grimm as a dad,
right?
And with a Kree and Skrull children, adopted children. So the parenting style is going to be obviously way different, and still have these sort of, no one in that family has what I would say is a conventional ability set. So,
right.
I think that adds a fun dynamic to it.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with that. We also got some continuation of, things we've seen with these characters from within King in Black that I was excited to see. And now it kind of, I guess, fell a little bit flat because of the timing of everything. But like you said, this issue goes both before and after the finale. So I guess it does still kind of fit in here. But it was very cool to see Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm used a little bit differently as far as some of the other nullified characters go. It was very interesting the way Null was manipulating these characters and really messing with them both, not only physically, but psychologically as well. And I really liked that aspect. I wish we got more of that throughout King Black. I thought that would have been a nice addition.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been a running of a pick of the week if it wasn't just sort of after I cared, right?
Right.
I mean, I still care about the Fantastic Four, but it just felt a little postscripty. And so.
And it was cool, too, to see what the Fantastic Four was up to during King in Black, because for the most part, throughout the main title, we just saw Reed, doing Reed stuff, trying to figure out the science of everything and come up with a solution. Whereas most of the others were mostly absent. We saw them a little bit, like I said, but they didn't play a huge role in the overall story.
It caught me a little off guard when Reed says he's there with Spider-Man. Because obviously in the Fantastic Four, they always just use their real names. There's not a lot of secret identities left in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So if they wouldn't say I'm here with Iron Man, they say I'm here with Tony, right?
Right.
And so Spider-Man, who's the one guy that has a secret identity, it's oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't say Peter. But, yeah.
Well, at this point, I'm not even sure where we are as far as the timeline goes, because we know Peter has been a member of the Fantastic Four before. They know who Peter Parker is, but then I'm not. His identity has been reset so many times that I'm not sure if they know or not.
I think they do.
Yeah. So, our first title outside of King in Black this week. Although it still was very much like a continuation, because we had some Daredevil tie-ins, so it was nice that they took, they removed the King in Black title from this, but took a piece from those crossovers and brought it into this title, and with Elektra training the girl that she helped during King in Black. So I like that they kept that going.
Yeah, I like this title too, and I liked getting in. I like getting in Matt's head in this way, and there's a lot of sort of like greater New York stuff, but I thought the stuff that takes place in the prison was the strongest.
Yeah.
And it spins out of last issue, but and it appears to lead into the next one. But I Daredevil was never one of my like obvious picks. I'm typically more on the lighter side of comics, but Chip Zdarsky is just doing great things right now.
Yeah, I will also say this was probably my favorite art of the week. I really loved the art throughout this whole issue. And I think your point about, liking the stuff with Matt, that makes sense, right? This is a Daredevil comic. So, it's so often these issues will focus on other characters besides the title character, but that stuff with the title character ends up still being the strongest content. That being said, I really love Elektra filling in as Daredevil and all of the action that she's getting into. And then, you throw in the whole Mike Murdock stuff too, that's adding another wrinkle to it as well. So this is a fun series. I'm really interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, this is a title I think we got into because of King of Black, but I'm going to stick with it post King of Black.
Yeah.
So, which is great because I don't need another number one.
Right. Very true. Yes.
Then we got Black Cat, The Gilded City Part 1. This is my pick of the week.
I was very curious about this because you mentioned last week how much you loved the previous Black Cat issue, and this almost like it felt disconnected. It went in a completely different direction, didn't continue that story. But yet I did really enjoy this issue, and that's often the case for Black Cat comics for me. I really like this character, and I mean I love a good heist story, so they're always fun. But yeah, so I was curious to know what you thought with it going in a different direction. Apparently, you really liked it.
I did. I mean, comics don't all have to be, part one of whatever. Like you can have standalone issues. Mm-hmm. And I think characters develop better that way instead of having, you can tell a story that establishes a character. Especially, this is part one of the Gilded City, so she's probably going to go on a little bit of a run here. It's mm-hmm. nice to have the sort of palette cleanser between her King of Black story and what her next major story that informed you a lot about who Felicia Harding is. She's a we talked about how, like, I think most of us got to know her through the Spider-Man animated series, where she has sort of an outsized role compared to her sort of Spider-Man mythos. You get this has flashbacks. It goes back to her family. I just think it was a great tease at the end without being too manipulative, where it's just like, and then there were aliens. So yeah, I mean, I had a hard time picking this week. There was legitimately, I would say probably 4 that I was like, yeah, that were my pick. But this one, I think just because it's a fun start to something new, kind of edged them out a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I also had 4 to pick from, and I don't think like none of these particularly stood out this week as being a great issue, but I think it was a solid lineup of comics that we got to read, and this was one of them. I definitely enjoyed this Black Cat story. I am a little bit thrown off because I'm so used to Black Cat being so grounded and dealing with these very real world problems, and yet now we're seeing her come out of King and Black. We had that one issue in between, and now she's getting into what seems to be another big sort of cosmic type of story. Who knows where it actually ends up going, but there's definitely something powerful at play here. So did you feel like that was a little bit weird too, that we're going to get that type of story for Felicia?
Well, we had news that she was going to be part of this major Infinity Stone.
Right.
Yeah. So I wasn't thinking super grounded. But I still think, yeah, there's crazy stuff that's happening, but it's still grounded in a sort of a fatherly relationship mm-hmm. she has with Fox. So it's, comics are great because you can do crazy things, but I think as long as the characters feel true and you don't get a little too monologue-y about universes and things where, you can use it as a tool, but that's not the story. The story is the people.
Right.
And so, yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on it.
And our final
25.
issue, yeah, Legacy, yeah. So we have issue number 13, number 175 here. So again, the numbering it's a little bit confusing sometimes. But speaking of grounded issues, and those typically being my favorite, I went in the complete opposite direction this week. And obviously, as you can tell by now, Guardians of the Galaxy is my pick of the week. And it really just came down to the ending that got me the most excited, which I won't spoil. Granted, I guess we have an idea of somebody who's going to be showing up, but I won't ruin that cool ending that we got in this issue. But I really like this. I really like this lineup for the Guardians of the Galaxy. I like the way that they handled this as well, because there's so many members of this team that, splitting them into two different groups and giving you sort of two different stories, I thought was a really good way to handle it. And yeah, I mean, again, some more great art, some crazy cosmic stuff happening, but also just, really great characters.
Yeah. And this was really close. I thought the pacing was good, considering everyone is in this book. You had the Hulkling and Wiccan, trying to save their world. You had Star-Lord kind of coming in with Nova and Gamora, and using Groot as a pawn, I guess, which was kind of cool. And then the ending, I mean, it just gets you excited. There's so much going on with that character these days in Marvel.
Yeah.
And so we'll let you read it, but I'm sure there's more to say.
Yeah, if you've been watching us on a weekly basis, I will say it's one of my favorite characters that shows up at the end. So that narrows it down to about 100, but at least there's something there. And like I said, I really love this group of characters. Hulkling and Wiccan getting mixed in, Nova, Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Rocket. I mean, Quasar is in there as well. There's so many awesome characters involved in this story. I can't wait to see where they go with this, because adding this other character into the mix is going to change things in a big way.
Might have the line of the week with "I should have brought a podcast."
Yeah, totally agree. There were a few funny lines to pick from, and which is surprising because we didn't get Spider-Man like we normally do.
So Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I've been talking about it all week, so I'm really curious to get your thoughts on this.
I was in that's going to sound way over dramatic, but I wasn't in a good mood when I watched it. And, if you read comics, John Walker isn't going to come across as a Boy Scout in the entire 6 episodes of these series. And so, but I'm happy that they established sort of his downfall, in a realistic way. They didn't come in and be like, here's the, awful racist, jingoistic Captain America version that, they think is what Steve was, and it's not really. So I'm glad they did that. I loved just a moment that I really enjoyed was Baron Zemo talking about Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool. And then the ending, shocking is not the right word, but it definitely hits you like, okay, this is we're now in the third act.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you said it that way, because on Marvel Monday, Becca and I discussed that ending, and I totally agree. It wasn't shocking. Like you said, we knew, as comic fans, we knew what to expect from John Walker. We know the kind of stuff that he does, but powerful, I guess. There's no word for the emotion that you felt, but you felt like something happened. And, it was a really cool ending for sure. Zemo has been off the charts for me. He's just so good in this series, and I can't wait to see where they go with him. I really hope we get a lot more of Zemo after this series.
I want the Zemo-Agatha team up.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but
well, hey, we've theorized that. I think the most exciting situation that I could expect, or that I could, even hope for out of this series, is that it ends with Zemo meeting up with Thunderbolt Ross, which then could lead into him potentially leading a new team of villain/heroes called the Thunderbolts.
So speaking of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we got a sneak peek at the mid-season sneak peek, whatever that means.
4 episodes out of the 6, and now we're getting a season sneak peek.
Yeah, they apparently can't do math.
It was interesting because this quote unquote sneak peek gives you a lot of footage that we've already seen, but it was, it didn't reveal a lot. There wasn't a whole lot to sneak, I guess. But it was exciting. There's really 4 or 5 seconds of stuff we haven't seen, but it was like, I was fired up after watching this, and I cannot wait to see, the fight that is coming here, because Bucky and Sam are squaring up against John Walker here. So can't wait to see it.
Staying with Disney Plus, we got some casting news on SheHulk. Renee, I'm gonna butcher this. Louise Goldsberry from Hamilton.
That's how I've been pronouncing it. So good job.
Has joined the cast of She-Hulk in an unknown role. I'm not a huge She-Hulk person. Not for any reason other than when I started to read comics, she just wasn't all that prevalent. It was kind of after her heyday. And so, I don't know if she has a huge supporting cast, but I think that's a great opportunity to kind of just create a supporting cast around her. Because, as you said, with Agatha on WandaVision, so many people, but particularly Baron Zemo in Falcon and Winter Soldier, like in the longer forms, storytelling of Disney Plus, you get to spend more time with, the people that aren't in the title. And I think that's great.
Yeah, totally agree. The only thing we do know is, reportedly at least, that her character will be named Amelia. I haven't done any deep dive to find out if there's any Amelia tied to She-Hulk in the comics. But I am excited because, as somebody who really enjoyed Hamilton, this actress is fantastically talented. So, just a great addition to the cast.
Last Friday was Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest. Not to be confused with HasCon, because they said this was the first Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest.
Yeah.
We had HasCon, which was eerily similar to this whole thing.
Yes.
So walk me through this.
Yeah, so just lots of really cool new figures revealed, including this Bro Thor in full armor. This is the second Bro Thor figure they've released, but this is the first one where he's armored up and ready for battle. And he comes with both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, along with lightning effects, which that's awesome. You get everything you could possibly want with a Thor figure. Just a really cool addition to your collection. This is probably my favorite thing that they announced. This Eye of Agamotto, role play item here.
It comes with really detailed.
Yeah, it comes with this really awesome display stand, so you can put it up on your shelf. It also, is on a necklace, so you can wear it just like Doctor Strange. You push a button on the back, and it actually opens up just like it does in the movies. And then inside, you have the glowing time stone that you can remove from it, and it will continue to glow after you remove it from the eye. So, that's just a really awesome new piece that, Marvel fans are definitely going to be excited about.
That's really cool.
Yeah, there's a look at the stone glowing.
And everyone's favorite character, Darkstar.
Yeah. So they finished up a wave of Iron Man figures that they announced a while back. They started a while back. Now they finished it up here. And Darkstar, obviously, they wanted to get some different characters in there. So piece of the Winter Guard there. Ironheart. Obviously, people are excited about this one because the pre-sales are already sold out for this one. So with Riri Williams going to be the star of Armor Wars pretty soon, that's going to be a popular character. Yeah, you got the Vault Guard, and then a whole bunch of other Iron Man figures here. This hologram one is really cool. And then you got Stealth. What else did we have? The Modular Iron Man, which they went back to like the 90s animated series and the Marvel vs. Capcom game. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then probably my favorite Build-A-Figure we've seen in a while here, Ursa Major. That is so awesome. Somebody during, I want to say it was Geo, somebody watching Barely Necessities last night referred to this as a glorified Build-A-Bear, and that's brilliant. That's exactly what it is. So that was, that's what we're going to go with from now on. But Ursa Major is a really cool addition. And then the third wave of these Kenner-inspired 3.25 or 3.75 inch, I believe, figures. So they've announced some other classic characters before, but now you got Bullseye. We got another Incredible Hulk. This time it's the Gray Hulk. Invisible Woman. So I think they're only missing Reed. I think they need the Thing as well. The Cyclops.
So much.
Ant-Man and Vision as well.
I have the first wave.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're so cool.
They are. They're really awesome.
Even the logo of it's like Marvel Legends, but done like in a late 80s and early 90s style.
Yeah, exactly. The card art is so awesome. I love the, all the art that comes with them, the classic looks of the character. It's everything about it is so great.
Heading to comics, I know King of Black is over, but that doesn't mean we're done with symbiotes.
Never. We're never done with them. We're going to get a ton more with Extreme Carnage coming up in July. There was a lot of news. What was this? Friday, I think Marvel just kept dropping Extreme Carnage news on us one after the other. So we found out, as we expected at the end of King in Black, that Flash Thompson will be coming back in Extreme Carnage. But then also Scream and Phage are both getting their own titles, which I'm really happy about for Scream, because I really enjoyed her King in Black tie-in, and looking forward to the character getting more spotlight in the future.
Yeah, it's nice to see that someone from the Spider-Man attraction at Universal finally gets.
And then Phage is interesting because that's another character that very rarely gets in the spotlight. Usually just a villain in a one-off or maybe a 2 or 3 issue arc, but that's about it. So I'm excited.
What I like about King of Black is it really established the symbiotes as there's differences. It used to be they would make a symbiote, there'd be Venom, and then they'd make Venom sort of not that bad, so then they would make the bad version, which was Carnage, right? And then that kind of trend went on for a while, and it's nice to give them a little bit more dimension.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, because we learned a lot about symbiotes over the course of this Venom arc or the whole Venom series leading up to King in Black. So I'm excited for the future of it, and we know Venom is heading for a very symbiote heavy future for sure. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
And so Peter David, who Disney fans might know as, behind many things from Disney Adventures and long Disney heritage, but also known for Marvel comics such as X Factor, is going to be doing an issue of X-Men Legends. Yeah,
which, I believe we only touched on one of these X-Men Legends issues so far, but this is cool. I like getting back into the history and bringing back a classic writer to do so. Only makes that even better. So I'm excited for some more really awesome art for sure, because getting back into that 80s, 90s style for these characters is always fun. And then, excited for whatever awesome new story, new classic story we get, I guess.
So, and then finally today, we Jason Aaron appeared with our boy Ryan Penagos on Marvel.com discussing Heroes Reborn. So what did we end up learning?
Yeah, and let me get the exact quote here. He referred to Heroes Reborn as a version of the Marvel Universe that I'm pretty confident in saying we've never seen before. So, given 80 plus years of comic history, that's a difficult thing to pull off. And he says, and the world has been changed, so the Avengers never existed, and Earth's mightiest heroes have always been the Squadron Supreme, which, as you can imagine, changes quite a bit of the Marvel stories, that we know for the past. So he did specifically point out, for example, Civil War was not Steve Rogers against Tony Stark. Instead, it was Hyperion against Nighthawk. And so these stories still happened in this universe, but they happened with different players. So you would imagine things would be quite different. So I'm very interested to see what this new universe is like. We also, during this Marvel Live, got a trailer for it that revealed that the Avengers do kind of exist, but as Earth's mightiest villains. So we're going to see how that plays out as well. I'm I'm really looking for. I honestly, when Heroes Reborn was announced, just thinking back to the story that it was, not based off of, but had that same title, I was not thrilled about the concept. I've gotten more and more excited about it, and after hearing Jason Aaron talk about it yesterday, I'm definitely looking forward to it now.
Great. So we've got another episode of Falcon Winter Soldier coming up this Friday. Who's the boss? So I got to ask, what was your draft this week?
Sorry, Zacks of Life. You got to flip.
Someday.
Yeah, I mean, these 80s sitcoms, they're going to mix you up every time. Yeah. Our draft this week, given coming off of the Avengers Campus announcement, we decided to draft Marvel experiences that we would like to see in the parks. So we had to come up with one land, one attraction, one character interaction, and one restaurant and or bar. So that was a lot of fun. And Tony Betty joined us for that one. So you can check that episode out now.
That sounds great. I got to listen to that.
Yeah.
Cool. So anything you wanted to share before we wrap up?
No, I mean, of course, we'll be breaking down Falcon the Winter Soldier again on Monday as well. And then, of course, with another Zacks of Life podcast. So you can check out both of those.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll have our news video up at 7:30, and we'll be back with more content all day, all night, and into tomorrow. So thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.